So I'm kind of I kind of a fan of Aaron Rodgers, and about
Yeah.
3 years ago, Aaron Rodgers did a darkness retreat. I don't know that I could do that, where you're literally like you got nothing. You got no
Yeah.
phone, no sense at all. Your sight's gone because you're in the dark. It's quiet, so you can't hear anything. And to hear him explain it, like once a day, they would bring in like they would slide, a tray of food under the door or something like that. Um, and just how time got like he would talk about like you just don't know. You don't know if it's 2 in the afternoon, 2 in the morning. His only measurement of time was when they would slide the food under the door, and I think they did it around the same time every day. It's like, oh, it must be like 10 o'clock. So I would imagine that's too much. But doing an isolation retreat, a true isolation retreat where you're not on Instagram, that's my opinion. Um, I got to think that there's benefit to the voices that come through.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what you were saying, like the conversations when you eliminate all the noise, when you get bored, like truly bored, what comes out. And I
Yeah.
think that's probably pretty cool, I would imagine.
I enjoyed it very much because I'm a big fan of psychology.
Hmm.
So it was really cool, you know, it kind of looked something like this where I was kind of telling you off the air where it would be like I would get hungry and I would be like, okay, I'm gonna go get something to eat. And I would be walking up to the fridge. Now, mind you, there's no TV, no commercials, no parents, nobody pulling your brain in a million different directions. So I got to solely focus on what I wanted to eat, and I would walk up to the fridge and I'd be like, what do I want? And then I'd hear like, my inner kid be like, grab some ice cream. And I'd be like, I do want ice cream. And then I'd be like, well, why do I want ice cream? Why did I buy pistachio almond in the grocery store? Like, I didn't even think I really like pistachio almond ice cream. Is it the color of the jug of ice cream? No. Then all the memories of like every time I've had pistachio in my life started to bubble up. And then I realized that like pistachio is a comfort food for me because the majority of memories that I have surrounding any type of pistachio flavor are like these wholesome, loving, warm memories. And I was like, there it is. That's
I
why I
get
like
that.
pistachio.
Yeah, and again, to the point I was making was that when you eliminate all the noise in a retreat like that, when you eliminate all outside garbage, all that's left is what's inside, and I would, again, I haven't done this, but I would imagine that for the first couple of hours, you're like, your mind is spinning and going crazy. But then once it starts to slow down, I mean, I experience that with meditation in the morning,
Hmm.
and that's only like 10, 15, 20 minutes. Is that once you get to a point where it slows down, clarity starts popping in. So to do it for 72 hours, and I'll forgive you on the Instagram because your memes were amazing, by
Thank
the
you.
way.
Thank you.
But to do that, I can totally see having a conversation reflecting on why you are wanting ice cream or why you're choosing that, and
Yeah.
how many other things that you can reflect on when you're in a space where it's like, well, and it's just, dude, and it just to your point, I had no intention of continuing to talk about this, but there's some fascinating stuff in this. Is that when you eliminate all the noise, you start to realize how much noise comes at us all the time,
All the
like
time.
all the time. And whether it's through our phones or people talking or just external noise of just things that pop up, you're walking down a busy street, whatever. Um, Man, when you eliminate all that, all that's left is the voice in your head. That can
Hmm.
sometimes be not the best thing in the world. But again, once that settles and you can actually start to dive maybe deeper into why you're here, what you're doing, what do you want to do with your life, that sort of thing. I would imagine
Yeah.
that's pretty.
It was powerful and it was beautiful. It was beautiful to be able to feel my nervous system go from survival mode and then not be in survival mode anymore and to regulate itself, to like feel in my body what that actually feels like.
Yes.
And then the best part of it all was at some point, at some point, like negative memories or feelings will start to come up, especially when you're bored.
Yes.
And like all the anxiety of like, did I do this right? Was I enough in this relationship? Should I have done this differently with my career? When I was in high school, I shouldn't have talked bad about this person. And then
Mhm.
something really beautiful happened is when my nervous system was regulated, those memories that used to bring up anxiety or fear all of a sudden the realization, but like the feeling of like I'm safe. Those
Mm,
memories and those feelings are not that they're not real, but they're not who I am. I don't need to live in those feelings right now. I can just
mm,
experience them as an observer. And the fact that I can do that doesn't mean they matter any less. It just means I'm now seeing them through the lens of safety instead of fear when my nervous
100%.
system was so dysregulated. Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, that's really cool. That is, again, you probably didn't go into an isolation retreat expecting that, but that is
Mm-mm.
definitely a unintended, really amazing benefit from doing something like that. Um, something else that you said there. So we've talked about Stoicism a fair amount on the show. So whenever I go meditate, right before I meditate, I read like from this daily. It's called the Daily Stoic. It's just this journal that I have, and one of the fascinating things is the Stoics look at things as in sort of three layers. There's the action that happens, there's our judgment on that action, and then there's the reaction. So a lot of
Mm-hmm.
psychologists will go, well, there's an action and a reaction. But the Stoics are like, no, there's a middle piece in there. There's the judgment on it. And what I just heard you explain is that when you let your nervous system sort of just sit for a minute, is that the judgment starts to slip. And then it's just like, oh, I can observe this feeling. And if you're listening to the show, we are just two dudes who talk about our feelings because it's kind of important, like seriously. So when you can observe a feeling like you did, even in an isolation retreat or not, man, that's like a superpower. That's like a really, really like amazing thing to be able to do that. And I mean, I can say all that out loud, and then I wake up at 4 in the morning, and I'm sort of
Terrified.
panicking in this area. Yeah, exactly. But
Yeah.
it's also, but there's a sense of, I don't know, I've said before, part of the reason I meditate is to be able to do exactly what you just said, is
Mm-hmm.
to be able to come into situations, conversations, et cetera, and just be able to go without judgment. How do I want to act slash react in this whatever environment? Um, but we are human and we are dudes and we do let our emotions get the best of us at times. But man, being able to just sit back and go, why did I feel that way? What's going on there? Why am I judging that person?
Yeah.
Should I be judging that person? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But at least having that sort of line of questioning in there, that's a powerful thing, dude. It's a
It,
powerful little
it
pause in the noise of life.
big time, and it's even crazier because you like now, well, especially now because I've reintroduced people back into my life, especially down here. I got all my friends,
Hmm.
and like I have gone out a couple of times to different bars and stuff like that, and it's interesting to now having had that quiet time. I can feel now my nervous system reacting to people before
Hmm.
my mind even has the language to give me to say, "Oh, no, you're feeling anxious in this conversation," or "No, you're this person is triggering you."
Hmm.
Instead, I can feel it in my chest now. Like everything will kind of like I'll feel like I'm bracing almost around certain people. And that was a real big eye opener because then it was like, "Oh, I can just feel anxiety without latching on to that emotion and being like, oh, I'm anxious. No, I'm not
Yeah.
anxious. I'm just experiencing anxiety right now.
Yeah. That's
And it
actually,
passes.
yeah. And you are able to stop yourself from saying something that you wouldn't normally say, or no, I don't want to say saying something you regret. That's not what I mean, but just the mere fact of, feeling a feeling before that, just gives you I don't know, it's almost like a
It's a
warning sign.
superpower.
Yeah, but it is a superpower. Okay, so, bro, I totally didn't mean to go down this rabbit hole of your retreat, but I'm finding this all very fascinating, especially coming from you, which is just you've
It's the rules, right?
never ceased to amaze me. Um, okay, so there's like a lot that I want to actually talk about since you and I haven't done a live show in, I don't know, it feels like years. But we haven't done, you and I, this is our first live show on a Friday night, which is awesome together.
Hmm.
Um, so definitely want to hit on a few things.
Okay.
Not the least of which is the date you're going on tomorrow night. So
I know.
we won't talk about that yet.
Whew.
Um, but what I do want to talk about next is this was kind of a big week. It
Yeah.
was like a really, really big week. And people that I talk to are saying a lot of the same things about their feelings this week: restlessness, energy, tired. Um, but what I find fascinating is that there's a lot of people who are feeling that way. They can't point to anything. And on Tuesday, the Lunar New Year started. So we went from the year of the snake to the year of the fire horse. I am not, by any stretch of the imagination, a woo woo person, kind of, but I'm not an astrological person. Like, I couldn't tell you very much other than the fact that I am a Libra and I'm married to an Aquarius. But the fascinating thing is, as we go into the year of the fire horse, what that means. And I just want to pull at that thread with you because
Oh, dude.
I'm sure you're all about the fire horse.
Not only am I all about the fire horse, but how many fire horses do we need? Because I'll get a whole stable of them and let's light them up and let's go for a ride. Because Year of the Snake, you shed the old skin, you shed the old patterns, you shed the old energy, you shed the old thoughts, and you are
Mm-hmm.
rebirthed into this fire horse year, which energy wise, it's just a symbol to let you know as a human being, this is the year. If you have any big dreams, big aspirations, you consider yourself lucky, this is the year to test it out because everything is on an accelerated path. So enjoy the ride because you're on fire.